In 1998, the local food movement wasn't even a blip on the radar. Begun in a neighborhood desperate for greening and jobs, we were the first urban farm in Philly, quite possibly the country. We were also an early adopter of hydroponic growing. The phone was ringing off the hook, and other groups with interest were showing up at the gates. The organization was on the cusp of something new and unique. Today, Greensgrow stays true to our roots, placing emphasis on socially responsible business practices. Greensgrow Farms aims to be a champion of green practices, a model for adoption of a triple bottom line program. We lead the discourse on why urban farming and local food hubs are so important for food access in food desert communities, and we share our model for developing local food and urban greening movements. Ultimately, we want a second location in West Philadelphia, taking our mobile food market that is based out of a food truck and giving it a permanent home with urban farmland and a nursery. Our organization is successful because of our ability to scale. We have a cooperative model that supports a network of more than 75 farms in the region, allowing our local food programs to quickly scale. We just add more farms to our network or give our current farmers the opportunity to grow. And our organization is continually striving to become more focused through our talented and incredibly passionate staff who drive our success daily. Greensgrow Farms' effectiveness stems from our relationships and commitment to transparency. We don't just preach neighborhood growth. We provide jobs and practice and teach sustainability efforts daily. We've also built relationships with vendors in food and floral that rely on total transparency. We know their practices and wouldn't bring any products into our neighborhood that we're not proud of. I could walk around any one of our partners' farms or our own farm and be 100% comfortable with their practices and the way they treat their workers, livestock, and land. We share this information with our community, and we also share why it's important. We measure success by our bottom line and the levels of participation in our programs. We're providing 100% local products and services, both educational and sustainable, to our community. It's about people and having enough dollars to serve them. We know we're doing well when our programs are self-sustaining or when participation increases in programs that are grant-supported. We also value our least waste philosophy and view success in metrics such as the amount of material we recycle, value-added products made from things that would otherwise be wasted or composted, and upcycling and reclaiming materials for all of our facilities projects. At first glance, people don't realize the breadth of our initiatives. We're not just selling food and plants, but demonstrating hydroponics, vertical farming, rain collection, composting, solar power, raising farm animals in the city, green roofs, and more. Even our pig hut has a green roof. We'd also like to raise attention that farms, garden centers, and food hubs are economic development drivers and the frontline strategy in regeneration of depressed neighborhoods. Lastly, we want our community to know that we're a nonprofit. Because we have a retail space and sell food, we look more like a B Corp, but the nonprofit picture becomes clear once you get to know the full spectrum of our programs, like our community kitchen that serves as an entrepreneurial incubator for local small food businesses, and our Snapbox program, which provides low-cost, local produce for Access card holders. Our organizational accomplishments are fun to talk about. Providing jobs in our neighborhood, symbiotically feeding families while supporting our local vegetable farmers and orchards, and teaching practical sustainability. We serve as the liaison between the rural food producer and the urban consumer, a relationship that's been lost in the age of industrial agriculture. We're also proud to stretch the preconceived notions of what belongs in an urban space as we raise veggies, chickens, a duck, Milkshake the pig, 3 turtles, 2 goats, and our farm cat Blanche on a brownfield site in the city. We've had our fair share of challenges, most notably establishing ourselves in one of the poorest congressional districts in our nation. We introduced urban farming to the city, the committees, the zoning board, and I believe we've made it possible for other urban farms to exist here and elsewhere. We've trailblazed the reuse of brownfield sites in a safe and economically viable manner. A brownfield site is land contaminated from industrial use that is not fit for habitation without remediation. The EPA came in and cleaned up the site that now houses our farm, but we still grow everything above the concrete with fresh soil that we bring onto our land. It's a brilliant and beautiful use of land that was left for dead. It's been a challenge to survive when more than 25% of nurseries in the U.S. have gone out of business in the last few years as the big box stores have swept the market. Additional resources? We're used to not having any. We're used to finding ways to build programs on duct tape and a prayer, with scraps, and used this and recycled that. We could use resources for infrastructure, logistics, and technology upgrades to better track, store, and procure, which would allow us to improve our quality standards at the same time. Additionally, we could use resources for a much-needed Director of Development, a position that sits empty, and could ensure our funding strategies are well executed for the future. In the future, we'd like to insert ourselves into an earlier point in the food system. Right now, we work with growers and eaters and demonstrate the ideas of urban greening to many end users. However, if we could address the way institutions buy food and how schools feed children, and then influence city management on recycling, we could affect much greater change, organizationally and municipally.